General Grant National Memorial is located just east of the Hudson River on Riverside Drive in New York City. It's surrounded by trees, and there aren't many buildings near the memorial. The tomb's base is shaped like a square, and the outside is completely made of granite. The entrance has 6 stone columns stationed at the top of a granite staircase. A dome protrudes off the top of the main section of the monument. There are many columns supporting the dome. The memorial has a neoclassic style, meaning it has a simplicity of geometric forms, Greek and Roman detail, dramatic use of columns, and a preference for blank walls. The building was designed with the tomb of King Mausolus, one of the 7 wonders of the world, in mind. Ulysses S. Grant was born on April 27, 1822. He was the nation's 18th president and also the man on the $50 bill. Before becoming president, Grant fought in the Civil War as a colonel and was appointed 4-star general once the war was over. He was part of the military for 17 years. Grant served for 2 terms as president from 1869 to 1877. At the age of 63, Grant died on July 23, 1885. The tomb was made to commemorate Grant's accomplishments during his military career rather than his actions as president. Construction of the memorial began on April 27, 1891, the 69th anniversary of Grant's birth. A contest was held to decide which architect would construct Grant's tomb. Out of 60 different architects, the one picked was John H. Duncan. Duncan was a well-known 19th century architect. Some of his inspiration came from a couple famous tombs from before Grant's time. The original design of the tomb was way over budget, so Duncan had to cut back on a few details. The tomb's exterior was built out of 8,000 tons of gray granite, while the interior was made completely of marble. Grant's tomb is the largest tomb in North America, standing 150 feet high. In the very center of the tomb is an open crypt containing 2 sarcophagi holding Grant and his wife, Julia Dent Grant. The tomb was mistreated around the 1960s and 1970s. There were traces of drug usage around the tomb, and graffiti was found in different sections of the tomb. Homeless people also made Grant's tomb their bathroom and shelter. The Grant Monument Association, founded after Grant's death and reestablished within the last decade, was in charge of the restoration of Grant's tomb. The association has fixed all the broken stones and cleaned off the graffiti, so now the tomb looks worthy enough to be the mausoleum of Ulysses S. Grant. Architect John H. Duncan, with the help of other artists, used rhetorical devices in the design of Grant's tomb in order to illustrate how Ulysses S. Grant's bravery and great leadership throughout his military career and presidency was vital to the development of the country. Motif is used to signify the bravery of General Grant in the Civil War. There are murals inside 2 reliquary rooms. Each mural depicts a scene from a battle Grant participated in. The battles were meant to show Grant's bravery when faced with an opposing army to the spectators. At the entrance of the tomb, there are 2 figures located near the epitaph that represent peace and victory. Peace and victory are correlated with war, and it shows how Grant's part in the Civil War ended in victory for the North. Symbolism is used to allow spectators to experience Grant's life. John Russell Pope, another architect, designed 4 pendentives inside the tomb. A pendentive is a curved triangle formed by the intersection of the dome and its supporting arches. The first pendentive contains the tree of life and a goddess holding a book. The tree exemplifies Grant's birth, while the book shows his education throughout his early years of life. The second pendentive depicts a goddess holding an orb and Grant asleep with poppy flowers. The poppy flowers represent Grant's death, and the orb shows how he will be remembered for eternity. The third pendentive has goddesses holding a shield and sword, and the final pendentive contains a bundle of sticks. The war emblems in the third pendentive indicate Grant's military career, while the sticks from the last symbolize the strength of a unified nation. Pope felt that Grant's memorial needed a physical biography to emphasize the major aspects of his life. John H. Duncan appeals to pathos through the design of the monument. Elevated above the entrance to the monument, an inscription reads, "Let us have peace." The quote is meant to demonstrate Grant's side on the Civil War and how he felt everyone should be equal, which was used to characterize the ultimate aims of his public career. The feeling some receive after observing the entrance to the tomb for the very first time is awe because of the strong emotions tied to the quote welcoming visitors to Grant's final resting place. A couple of murals are located in rooms adjacent to the main room. The murals portray scenes from 3 of Grant's greatest campaigns. Upon seeing these murals, visitors obtain an understanding of how Grant risked his life many times in order to fight for what he believed in. The spectators are overcome with pride once they recognize Grant's role in the Civil War and how his actions helped shape the country to the way it is today.
The General Grant National Memorial in New York City is situated in Riverside Park, overlooking the Hudson River. Also popularly known as Grant's Tomb, this mausoleum contains the bodies of Ulysses S. Grant, an American Civil War general and the 18th President of the United States, and his wife, Julia Dent Grant. Shortly after Grant's death, on July 23, 1885, a committee that would come to be known as the Grant Memorial Association raised $600,000 to construct a memorial tomb. Over 8,000 tons of granite were used to construct the design drawn up by New York architect John Duncan. The design, modeled after one of the ancient 7 wonders of the world, would be completed and dedicated on April 27, 1897, the 75th anniversary of Grant's birth. 3 murals and 5 busts of Grant's greatest generals were added to the tomb. In 1958, short on funds, the Grant Memorial Association turned the tomb over to the National Park Service. Despite several years of neglect, recent restoration projects have made the General Grant National Memorial an interesting and reverent place to visit.